I'm sure as many of you have seen, Trump recently announced that they wanted to do a full ban on all international students in Harvard. And if you are an international student or currently are or want to be an international student at Harvard, you have to transfer out and there will no longer be future international students. Obviously, Harvard is going to fight that. And a federal a federal judge blocked the Trump administration's ban.
Well, a federal judge is stepping into President Trump's battle with Harvard University, blocking the administration's plan to stop Harvard from enrolling foreign students. Meanwhile, the president has launched a tariff threat against another American institution, Apple. Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
President Trump touched down in New Jersey late Friday as he prepares to deliver the commencement address at West Point Saturday morning. But his battle with another institution of higher learning, Harvard, has been dealt a setback. America's oldest university sued the government over a plan to bar it from enrolling foreign students, saying it would have a, quote, immediate and devastating effect for Harvard and more than 7,000 visa holders. They also claim the order violates the First Amendment.
I think somebody has to stand up against the bully and raise a flag, and it should not be a white flag of surrender, and Harvard is not.
The administration accuses the university.
I mean, we all recognize how insane it is to block all international students from entering Harvard, and even worse, to demand that all international students currently attending Harvard transfer out.
Of allowing, quote, anti-American, pro-terrorist agitators to assault Jewish students, creating an unsafe campus environment.
This country is paying billions and billions of dollars and then gives student loans, and they have to pay back the loans. So Harvard's going to have to change its ways.
On Friday, the president also put Apple in the crosshairs, using an early morning social media post to say if the company doesn't start making iPhones in the U.S., he'll impose a 25% tariff. It could dramatically raise the cost of iPhones like the one that went off on the president's desk.
It's a phone call. Do you mind?
In the Oval Office, the president said other tech companies could face tariffs too.
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair.
Apple had already promised to invest $500 billion in new U.S. plants and workers over the next 4 years.
President Trump is also threatening a new 50% tariff on the European Union beginning June 1st, saying there's been a breakdown in trade negotiations. If that happens, it would mean imports from Europe would be taxed at a higher rate than those from China. And here's a story you might have missed this week. President Trump's big, beautiful budget bill narrowly passed the House Thursday. It passed by just one vote. The legislation locks in the 2017 tax cuts, slashes taxes on tips and overtime, and boosts funding for the military and border security. Now, to pay for it, the bill cuts food stamps and carves nearly $700 billion from Medicaid and moved the Congressional Budget Office. The Congressional Budget Office says that this could leave millions without coverage. Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock called the proposed cuts a double whammy when combined with tariffs.
So they're raising people's grocery prices and cutting SNAP benefits that support largely families with children all at the same time. This is bad news for families, and it's bad news for the Georgia economy.
The bill now heads to the Senate, where some Republicans are pushing back. GOP leaders hope to send a final version to the president by the 4th of July.
I wanted to see what Kristi Noem had to say.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, the architect and author of this policy. Madam Secretary, you say it is a privilege, not a right, for American schools to be able to host foreigners on their campus.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this program has been in place for a very long time. These policies have been in place for a long time, and Harvard brought these consequences.
We're just totally ignoring brain drain at this point.
Upon themselves.
These are policies that only benefit the U.S., by the way. Having the best and brightest of other countries come here, get an education here, and inflate our literacy rates, inflate our job market potential. Like, that's having workers come from other places to go to school here and then to work here for U.S. companies to further enrich U.S. companies, to further enrich the U.S. empire. That is a pro-U.S. That's an America first policy.
themselves. They have promoted and allowed violent activity on campus. They have allowed anti-Semitism, participation with CCP and Chinese infiltration and
They've allowed participation with the CCP. Did you guys know Harvard and the CCP, they go way back. Xi Jinping is constantly hanging out at Harvard's campus. He just like hangs out with the students. You guys have never been to the Harvard campus before? Yeah, Xi Jinping is just hanging out there all the time. He's just like, I could make this city better. I could make this campus better. It's true. I've definitely been there, and that's definitely happened.
influence on their campus, and they haven't protected their students. So we have given them multiple opportunities to share criminal activity with us, backgrounds on these students, to let us conduct the oversight into this program that is our responsibility, and they have refused to do so. So today I sent them a letter that said they will no longer be allowed to participate in this student exchange visitor program, and that's up to 27.
I'm ashamed to be from the same state as Kristi Noem. She ruined the state. I'm sorry, man. If it makes you feel better, basically every single state in the U.S. currently has people to be embarrassed about, okay? You don't suffer alone.
Students.
We suffer together.
It's significant. Any foreign student that wishes to get an education in this country, that is attending Harvard and not participating in this criminal activity, they will have to find another university to go to, because Harvard has chosen instead to not.
You gotta love this, by the way. This is the anti-Semitism here. Look at this anti-Semitism on display. And it's a woman holding a sign that says they died hungry.
Not protect their students and to allow this kind of violent and discriminatory action continue.
So as you mentioned, 18% of Harvard's freshman class this year are foreign. They're foreigners here on student visas. What happens? Where do they go now? What do they do?
Yeah, we have given Harvard multiple opportunities to give us the documentation that we've requested to conduct oversight. We've asked them for the backgrounds on students that attend their university, their criminal activity on campus, off of campus, any video or audio footage they have of this violent activity, and they have just simply not complied. This is something
You have to love Kristi Noem getting on Fox News and saying, we demanded Harvard do what we asked, and they told us no, Omega Law. So now we're blocking them. We're blocking all immigrants. And then Harvard was like, actually, no, Omega Law, we'll fight you, dude.
something that they need to do in order to comply with this program as it was established. And so, unfortunately, all of their foreign students will face the consequences of Harvard's lack of protecting the individuals that go there. So 27% of...
I like how literally this is peak Harvard protecting the students that go there by having a request from the federal government be, hey, oust all of the students that are being activists for Palestine. And then Harvard says, no, we're going to protect our students. We're not going to do that. We're not going to oust our students. And then, of course, the Trump fucking era politician being like, can you believe they're doing this? They're making the students unsafe instead of just like giving us all of their information, giving us all of their criminal history, sharing all of the footage, all of the security footage of these people so we can arrest them.
Their students are foreign students, and they will have to find some other university to go to, and hopefully they find one that cares about them and provides a safe environment.
Does that mean that the student visas of this freshman class won't be revoked? It will just be revoked for them to attend Harvard specifically. Is that right? I want to make sure I'm understanding the particulars.
Yeah, the decision that's made today based on what Harvard has done is specifically applying to that university, not to the individual students. So the university will no longer be able to participate in this program. They will not be allowed to have foreign students because we have gone back to them multiple times, asked them to disclose this information, which other universities have and need to do in order to participate in the student and exchange visitor program, and Harvard simply has not done it. Harvard has a history of allowing not just protests, but violent protests where students were assaulted, they were discriminated against, They were verbally abused, and they've even facilitated a training for a paramilitary group affiliated with the CCP. So it's not.
They're organizing training for the military CCP.
Not just pro-Hamas activities that they
I want to see the origin of what this is. Hold up.
allowed to have
We're going to go
happen on their
deeper.
campus. They've also allowed participation with communist China, who considers the United States one of their greatest enemies. This is something we're not going to continue to allow to have happen. This is something I'm responsible for, is to provide this type of oversight, and we're going to ensure that every university protects every single one of their students on their campuses, whether they're from the United States or another country. They need to be safe. They don't deserve to have this kind of anti-Semitic or any other kind of discrimination that may face them based on their race going forward.
So Israel's consul general here.
Dude, isn't it fucked up that, like, you go to an official .gov website now and it's not trustworthy? Like, I'm at the fucking DHS.gov website and I'm like, who knows if that's trustworthy?
In New York joined our air a short while ago. He really hammered home his case, which is that he says the Qataris are at fault here. They are the ones exporting anti-Israel thought and rot to colleges across the United States. How do you see that? What's your reaction to that?
I think it was very interesting to listen to the Israeli ambassador to the UN this morning as well, that was doing several interviews where he talked about, he felt like a lot of the anti-Semitism that we saw across the country in the last year or two started on these college campuses. And I really do believe that what these colleges have done by facilitating an environment that allows this kind of hatred to grow and to spread, and misinformation to continue to be proliferated among these students is wrong. And it's created a situation now where we have racism and violence and assaults happening. And this student program was intended for students who wanted to come here and learn in America, appreciated the wonderful opportunity that it provided. And it's morphed into this terrible situation where people are really victims of the system. So we're bringing the oversight that the last administration did not bring, and we're going to make sure that this student and exchange program provides an environment where students can learn and not be discriminated against.
But do you believe, Madam Secretary, that the Qataris in particular are...
We solved racism after Obama was elected, and now we're back to racism. Notice she didn't actually ever mention the Qataris. She just said it started on college campuses.
Are behind a lot of the anti-Semitism you just described? Are they providing fuel that creates this fire?
You know, I'm not an expert in this area. I think that there's validity to what he has said, but I also think that we've got a lot of influences here, and we've got a lot of people that have facilitated this that have a different agenda. Some of these universities have even barred law enforcement officers from coming on campus and haven't even allowed there to be basic law and order on the areas that they're responsible for. So we're going to continue to do our investigations and make sure that what the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for, it will be done with integrity for the way that Congress laid out that programs should work, and the opportunities that we have to allow people to come into this country, learn, and to be a part of a country that promotes freedom and liberty and that everybody is equal. That's not what Harvard is doing, and that's not what we're seeing in some of these college campuses.
Could you foresee, or are you now considering similar moves with other universities like Columbia that has allowed Jewish students to be threatened and made unsafe?
Absolutely. We are absolutely. This should be a warning to every other university to get your act together. Get your act together, because we are coming to make sure that these programs that you are facilitating an environment where students can learn, where they're safe, and that they're not.
You're right. They're so safe now that the police are there.
Not discriminated against based on their race or their religion. Anti-Semitism will not be stood for, and any participation with a country or an entity or a terrorist group that hates America and perpetuates this kind of violence, we will stop it, and we will not allow that to happen, especially in places where Our kids need to grow up and really learn what this country is about, what the world is about, and what it means.
Our kids need to learn what this country is about. Also, no more woke in school, no more teaching racism, no more DEI, no more CRT, no more sex ed, no more public health education. But our kids need to know. Okay. All right. Sure. So post 9/11 coded. Oh, yeah. Coming directly from Miss Habeas Corpus Stop. I mean, I finally pulled up something about this. Long advantageous Harvard's China ties become a political liability. This from yesterday. Trump administration accuses school of coordinating with China. U.S. lawmakers have expressed worries about Chinese government's influence on campus. Harvard accused... Mayor Cat. Me too. Accused of training sanctioned Chinese officials. And scroll through. It's just reiterating the initial points. On Thursday, the administration moved to revoke Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students, saying it fostered anti-Semitism and coordinated with the CCP. Among them are Chinese nationals who made up about a fifth of Harvard's foreign student intake in 2024. I wonder why a lot of the foreigners that enroll in Harvard, that get accepted in Harvard, are from China. It must be because there's a secret ploy to fully encroach themselves into Harvard, and not because China has spent the past 2 decades or longer dedicating resources to infrastructure, education, public health, and a bunch of other goods that any growing society needs. It's almost like our education system blows dick compared to most other countries. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys in here have had foreign exchange students in your classes, or how many people in here have gone to universities that have had college exchange students or international students at your schools. But one of the schools I went to, because I used to like taking weekend classes in college, and the weekend classes tended to be the ones that had the most adults with jobs and kids, so they could only go in the weekend or during the weekend to take their classes, or foreign exchange students, or maybe more accurately, international students. And I also had friends in middle school and high school who their parents immigrated to the US when they were 12, 13 or whatever. And if you talk to Chinese immigrants, if you've had the privilege to talk to a Chinese immigrant, they literally laugh at our school system. They think it's a joke. I think the public school system is totally broken. It's totally broken. It's underfunded as shit. It's not good. But my perspective on school was just the only thing that matters are grades, because that's the only real factor in play. And so the classes I liked, I studied in them and I did well. I didn't really study. That's a lie. I didn't really study. I did my homework, is a more accurate statement. I did my homework and then I did well on tests. And in the classes I didn't like, I just found a way to get a good grade that didn't require me caring about the class. So math, I already loved it. So when I went home, I was excited to do the homework and I was excited to participate in class, and I liked paying attention in class and I liked learning about it. And so I did well in these classes. And even despite that, in the classes that I enjoyed, I would get a little bored, because it's hard for a teacher to teach 30 plus kids, and they have to teach them with varying levels of interest, varying levels of knowledge. Because it doesn't, just because you pass the class doesn't mean you learned anything in public school, right? So it sucks because there were a lot of math classes that I was in, individual days that I was sitting in math class, and I was bored out of my mind because I I was over it. I was like, okay, can we do the next thing? Can we do the next thing? But there were other kids that were next to me that were like totally lost because they just didn't have a good enough math teacher when they were younger. So they didn't learn to love it. That's kind of how I was about like English. Like I never really had a good English teacher or a great English teacher that made me fall in love with the subject. So I kind of just did whatever I had to get my A. It was like, however much ass kissing I have to do, however much cheating I have to do, I don't care. I'm going to get my A one way or another, whether I like the subject or not. With math, I just already liked it. But I had kids in my classes that they hated it. They were like, they just never learned to love learning about math. And so they never enjoyed doing math. With all of that in mind. The foreign exchange students, the international students, and the immigrant students that came to my schools, they thought our schools were a joke. Like I thought our schools were a joke, and they were like, "No, it's much worse than you think. No, it's much worse than you think." I learned all of this like 3 years ago. It's like, oh. They're like, you guys, they don't give you any homework. They really don't give you guys any homework here. They don't, no. It was our public school, you go home and do like 4 hours of homework. And that's so you don't fail. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's crazy. Whoa. I wonder why there is a high rate of, and not to mention China has, how many billions of people live in China? China population. It's like 1 point something billion? 1.4 billion? Yeah, 1.4 billion. Yeah, no shit, a country that has 1.4 billion students, or sorry, people, and they have a robust education system. Of course, they're going to have a lot of people that get accepted into Harvard. That's not like some CCP conspiracy. That's just like you showing you've never spoken to a Chinese immigrant before. Because if you had spoken to one, you would know their education system is so rigorous. No shit, they're more likely to get accepted into Harvard than like potentially other students in other countries that have less robust education systems. Okay, and then continuing for too long, Harvard has let the CCP exploit it. They turned a blind eye to vigilante CCP direct harassment on campus. Harvard did not respond. The school had said that the revocation was a punishment for Harvard's perceived viewpoint, which it called a violation of the right to free speech as guaranteed by the U.S. First Amendment, U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. And then here we have, this is the training that they provided to the military organizations in China. In a statement, the Chinese embassy in Washington said educational exchanges and cooperation between China and the United States are mutually beneficial and should not be stigmatized. The presence of Chinese students at Harvard and the school's link to the country are not evidence of wrongdoing, but the complexity and overlapping nature of the connections have been opaque enough to attract attention and criticism. The China-related issues cited by the Trump administration echo the work of Republican-led House of Representatives Select Committee on China. For example, Harvard provided public health-related training to Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps. Officials after 2020. That year, the U.S. imposed sanctions on the Chinese paramilitary organization for its role in alleged human rights abuses against Uyghurs and other Muslim ethnic groups in Xinjiang. Let's see what the quote looks like. Go to the, it did jump.
Affiliated with the CCP. So it's not just pro-Hamas activities that they have allowed to have happen on their campus. They've also allowed participation with Communist China, who considers the United States one of their greatest enemies. This is something we're not going to continue to allow to.
Sorry, run that back just for a second. Run that back for a second.
But violent protests where students were assaulted, they were discriminated against, they were verbally abused, and they've even facilitated a training for a paramilitary group affiliated with the CCP. So
you don't want to say that they were offering public health related training. You don't want to add that part, right? You don't want to specify if there was anything that they got in exchange for that. You don't want to specify if they've ever provided public health related training to other countries, to other organizations. No. Just say that they provided the training to the paramilitary groups in CCP. You have to fearmonger after all. You have to tell your dumb audience on Fox News what they want to hear.
Institutions in the United States that law enforcement is kept off campus. They feel administrators in these places like Harvard and Columbia feel like they want to manage poor behavior, even illegal activity on the part of students. Is that about to completely become a thing of the past? Are we watching that be eradicated in real time?
You know, we've been in communication with these leaders of these universities telling them we expect them to keep their students safe. We expect them, they can use their campus police and their policies, but when they're not effective and they're not even upholding basic campus safety, we are going to intervene, and they're not going to be allowed to get privileges that we have put forward as far as these types of programs. So these students, too, feel victimized and have been harmed for a long time under the policies of some of these colleges. And so we will take enforcement actions, and they will no longer have federal support.
I like how the only violence they insist on showing is the police assaulting students. Because I don't know about you guys, but one of the clips that I saw circulating a few ages ago on like the violence and the violent anti-Semitism was there was a human barricade around one of the entrances to, I think it was Columbia, but I could be mistaken about the university. And this guy who says that he's Jewish, I believe him, is like trying to go through and he's like, you're not going to let me pass because I'm Jewish. You're not going to, this is anti-Semitic. How are you not letting me pass? You're not letting me pass. And they're just like, you know, free Palestine. And there, you can see other students going around, no problem. Like that is the craziest victimization on the planet. You're insisting that you have to take the path that you want to take, even though everybody else has no problem taking the like what? Extra few minute detour. And then you're accusing them of doing it just to you because you're Jewish. Good to see that this is where we're at. This is where we're at. But you have to remember, these are the same people who like are accusing Miss Rachel of anti-Semitism.
I've also seen that you posted.
Which ones, if you have seen this, twos if you haven't seen this interview between Rachel and Mehdi Hassan.
About the little Bibas kids who, what happened to them in Gaza, horrific. What do you say to people who say, and again, I don't want to make this sound like there's more than there are, but the small minority of people who want to cause trouble, who say that you're anti-Semitic because you want kids in Gaza to be able to eat and play?
It doesn't make sense. It's not true. I'm against any bigotry. And I've seen bigotry. It's horrible, and I'm so against it. The image of Shiri, so terrified holding those boys in like a wrap. That is seared in my mind forever as well. And I thought about them all the time. I just can't imagine what Yarden went through and is going through. And just like I said, things can be really divisive, but I focus on helping all kids.
And just on.
Can you imagine being this woman where your goal is to try and focus on child education and to highlight stories about how any and all children are being harmed in the world, and you see Gaza and you see the disgusting human rights violations that occur, and you have the audacity to highlight stories like this?
Let's go back to sleep, Rahaf. We're so tired.
This is Miss Rachel, hanging out with her new friend, Rahaf. Miss Rachel is like YouTube's Mr. Rogers. with millions of subscribers and billions of views.
Can you nod yes?
And Rahaf is a 3-year-old double amputee from Gaza. She lost her legs when her home was bombed, and months later was medically evacuated to the U.S.
إحنا رايحين على أمريكا عشان نكمل العلاج.
Miss Rachel saw a video of the little girl, now living with her mom and a host family in Missouri, watching her show.
She's just so precious. Hopping like a bunny, and she was kind of hopping on the couch.
And arranged to have Rahaf come visit her in New York. Rahaf is part of a new group of fans Miss Rachel discovered last year, refugees of the war in Gaza.
I was tagged in a video of a toddler and a brother and a sister watching in a tent. And I saw the toddler swaying and the little girl smile, and I was just so touched that I could bring a little bit of joy to them during unimaginable circumstances.
Did you know that you had this audience?
No, I was completely surprised. Someone wrote, "This made me realize that these kids are like mine and like ours." And I know so many parents that enjoy our show feel the same way. They say, as a mom, I just think about, I see my babies.
All children are worthy.
She's posted more and more about Gaza as the war has gone on, highlighting the humanitarian crisis and launching a fundraiser for kids. She's gotten supportive comments, but there's also been backlash.
The bullying is so bad. It's so bad. But I can handle this.
You seemed very emotional about the bullying that you said you'd gotten for speaking out.
The idea that caring for one group of children means that you don't care for another group of children is false. And it's so hurtful because I care so deeply for all kids.
In April, an advocacy group called Stop Antisemitism called her a mouthpiece for Hamas.
A group
I can be calm. I can be calm. I can be calm. I can be calm. I'm capable. See, chat, the problem that I've run into, okay, in my life is that when I see people get mistreated, like friends of mine who are really sweet people, genuinely really sweet people, I go like feral. Like if it comes to defending myself, I'm like, nah, whatever, say whatever you want. I really don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter. Some fucking random loser saying something, I don't care. When it comes to people who say things like this to other people who are genuinely really nice, sweet people, it makes my blood boil. I do. And when I see like that, you are a mouthpiece for Hamas. What fucking universe do you live in where a woman dedicated to entertainment for kids and education for kids has the audacity to highlight stories of children who have lost their limbs in Gaza, and you say this is Hamas's doing? Like, how fucking brain broken are you? I hate you. Whoever wrote that sentence, I hate them. I actually hate them.
Accused you of essentially acting as a foreign agent and asked, for the Attorney General to investigate you for spreading propaganda.
Obviously, that's not true. I care deeply about all children, Israeli, Palestinian, Jewish, Muslim, Christian.
And it's so insane because people will criticize this amazing woman and they'll be like, well, you just provide a very one-sided narrative. I'm sorry, do you want her to go speak to the tens of thousands of amputated Israelis? Because do you want her to invent them? It is one-sided. Yes, one side has had way more kids dying and getting blown up than the other side. It is one-sided, actually.
And I wouldn't be Miss Rachel if I didn't speak up for them and speak up for all of them.
Miss Rachel has also used her platform to express grief over the deaths of Israeli children and said she's met with the family of hostages still in captivity.
Video cultural anatomy graduates, the grifter was really good for 2/3 of it. Guy whips out horseshoe theory out of nowhere. I was disappointed. Oh, okay, maybe I do want to watch it. Okay, we'll try and get to it today. We'll have a nice long stream day.
Here in the U.S., Rahaf was fit for prosthetics and has learned how to walk again. A group called Palestinian Children's Relief Fund helped her and her mom get out. But her dad and 2 brothers are still in Gaza.
ورهف محظوظة كتير طبعا إنه رهف قدرت تطلع بس في أطفال تانيين لسه موجودين بغزة وبتمنى إنه هدول الأطفال إنه
I'm so sorry, I wasn't reading the subtitles.
Are still in Gaza.
ورهف محظوظة كتير
Rahaf is
طبعا
very
إنه
lucky, of course,
رهف قدرت
because she was
تطلع
able
بس
to
في
leave.
أطفال تانيين
But there's other
لسه
children
موجودين
still in
بغزة
Gaza. And I wish
وبتمنى
those kids could
إنه
get
هدول
out
الأطفال إنه يطلعوا
and
يتعالجوا
get
زي
treatment like
رهف.
Rahaf.
طبعا في أطفال كتير لسه ما
Sorry,
زالوا
Rahaf. And many children are still
طبعا
under the
تحت
rubble.
الركام. أنا بشوف هذا الإشي طبعا لأنه بشوف
I see
أولادي
how it affects my children.
مجرد ما يحكوا مع رهف ولا حتى يشوفوها إنه ماسكة خبزة ولا بتاكل.
Sorry.
مجرد ما يحكوا مع
How they just talk to Rahaf
ولا حتى
and they
يشوفوها
see her
إنه
holding
ماسكة
bread and
خبزة ولا
eating.
بتاكل بصيروا
They ask
يسألوا
about it.
فيها. طبعا هذا الإشي كتير
And of course, this hurts me so much.
Anything is possible for Rahaf, and she has healthy food, and she has clean water, and she has wonderful medical care. This girl is thriving. We have to do this for all kids because they all deserve that.
How are people supposed to stop anti-Semitism seriously when this is their advocacy? Not only grows towards Miss Rachel, but also towards real anti-Semitism. Like,
on that note, then, to wrap up,
I'm sorry I've cried 18 times. I mean, it's a really sad topic.
It is a sad topic, and I'm sorry to be the guy who's taken Miss Rachel away from the happy YouTube. But as you say, silence is not an option. For those of us who care about humanity, forget the politics. I've interviewed many people about the politics of the Middle East. I have no interest in talking to you about the politics of the Middle East. But I do want to hear from a children's educator and a person who children love. The fact that you're telling me that kids in Gaza are sending you voice memos, that you are looked up to, not just by kids in New York or DC, but kids around the world. And of course, then you're going to speak out for them. That just makes sense. And we admire you for doing so. And I just want to be clear to people watching at home. You've spoken out about Sudan. I know you've posted about Haiti and Mali, right? Again, I'm going to ask a question earlier just to wrap up. Why is it that you feel that you, the YouTube star from New York City, the United States, from Maine, why do you feel this urge, and I say this in a good way, I'm glad you do, to speak out for Sudanese kids and Haitian kids, and right now, obviously, the kids who are suffering most in the world, the Gazan kids?
I do think it's a calling from God. When I was little, I used to ask my mom why kids didn't have food because we'd see those commercials. And I thought maybe there wasn't enough food. And as I've studied world hunger, realizing that there is enough food, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I've been blessed to have.
And like, the way I see it, chat, okay? There are the Miss Rachels of the world. There are the bad empanadas of the world. And there are the me's of the world. Okay? And the Miss Rachels of the world have to live and exist as they do to show that it is not that everyone else is being too extreme, and that's why they're being labeled these things. It's because what they are saying is contrary to what your news network wants you to believe. Ms. Rachel doesn't have trust me, Fox News would be all over it if she had even a single comment, one comment justifying any type of violence. And they still say that she is a mouthpiece for Hamas. Stop Anti-Semitism says she is a mouthpiece for Hamas. And just as the Miss Rachels of the world must exist in their kindness, in their generosity to the world, I must exist to be cruel to the people who are cruel to the Miss Rachels of the world. Because I don't know, when I see her talking about this, talking about world hunger, I'm like, the cruelty is the point.
This to get this platform, and kids feel that I care about them all deeply, and that's why I have the platform, because they feel it through the screen, because it's genuine, and kids know when things aren't genuine.
Yes.
And that care doesn't end with the kids that are watching or any kids. It's just they feel it. And then early childhood educators are always advocating for kids 0 to 3 because of the crucial time of brain development and the effects that will last a lifetime if kids don't have what they need. And then just my heart. And
I mean, we used to think that people were going to become like 10 feet tall. We thought we would have Amazonian women because people started getting better access to like nutrition, nutritious foods, and good stimulant rich, stimulation rich environments where they got to experience lots of things and like stimulant. Yes, they were taking fucking, the children are taking Adderall. Opiate food, also high crap. Yeah. And now like we continued to grow, right? And then we eventually like kind of tapered off because we're not going to have Amazonian women. I know I'm depressed too about it. Trust me. Because that period of time is very crucial for like getting all the nutrients you need, getting all the medical care that you need. I think some people, anti-vaxxers is what I mean, forget how low or how high rather infant mortality rate was. Because people just didn't have access to all the nutrients that they needed. They didn't have access to medication. They didn't have access to just like the basic clean food, water, air, just like basic things that nowadays it's like, it's not, it's no big deal, right? Yeah, putting iodine in the salt or whatever. It's very rare that you're ending up with kids in America who are struggling with like malnutrition. And then fucking Republican ghouls are like, yeah, let's end free school lunches. No, we don't want any of that. Everyone needs to fucking pay for, I don't care if you're 6 years old, you need to pay for your own school lunch. Whatever, fucking demons, dude. Anyways, all of that is just to say, Israel has told us their opinion on the Gazans, okay? And they've told us that they believe these people are all terrorists in waiting. Terrorists in training, excuse me. All we have to do is believe them. Also, sorry, I don't know if you're still here or not. I think the creator of this video, the cultural nihilism video, Jarrett Moore, I think, is this your real account? I'm just going to assume it's your real account. I pinned a comment about the horseshoe theory part. Very small throwaway to get to another analogy. Okay, cool. We'll get to it. I'm excited to see it. Thank you for dropping by. All right. But I also wanted to share this part with all of you really quickly from this interview. To be clear, this interview is really good and I highly recommend it. It doesn't have enough views, but it is a really good interview that she had with the better Hassan. Let's just be real. But if you guys want to watch it, give it a like, subscribe, all that other stuff, leave a comment, etc. But there was this other
gave her like a
section.
box of rings, and right away she put one on me and everybody who was around. She was like, okay, here's one for me. Now I'm going to give one to everybody. She has the best laugh. You know, when your children laugh and their laugh is so cute, and she was squealing. And so like we all started laughing because she was just so cute. And she falls a lot. She has 2 prosthetics. And she falls a lot. And I asked her host family and her mom through a translator. You know, do you guys kind of spot her or do you just let her fall? Because I know kids love to be independent. We all know kids are like, I want to do it myself, all by myself. Like every kid says that. So they're like, no, just let her run around and you don't have to spot her or anything. So she would fall like on her face and then she'd just pop up and want to hop like a bunny. And she was just so precious. And she was a vivid example of how when children have what they need, medical care, healthy food, support, they're going to thrive and they're so resilient. And then somebody asked her mom what she wanted to say to me, and her mom talked a lot about her mental health improving with the show. And then I was shown pictures and videos of her in Gaza, you know, on a hospital floor, and then her just kind of staring into space, looking down, and you can see the effect on her physical and mental health. And so you see, okay, we know what's not right for children. And now we see what is, and we can see it through images and video of her. And I told her mom, like, she's so bright and she's just going to do great. Like, she's just, you know, she's so worried about her. And the difficult thing is we're so joyful and hopping like bunnies and laughing so hard. And then Isra, her mom, grabs her phone and has her little boys on FaceTime. And her boys are adorable. I think they're around age 7 and 9. And they're in Gaza. And here I am, like, thinking, like, trying to be sweet and talk to her boys in, like, the Miss Rachel voice. But I'm also like, what if my son was over there and my husband, and then I'm here with my little girl losing her legs? And then I'm thinking about the boys, and I was asking if there's any way they can come here. And this wonderful woman was saying, because I was asking kind of her she was translating, and I said, is there any way for them to come here? And she was saying no. And she was saying they don't eat anymore on FaceTime with them. Sorry.
No, it's a horrific situation.
And then the translator, I remembered she had said, like, thank you for seeing our children as human, when I had spoke out before. And so I want those little boys to have everything my little boy has. And their mom's a teacher like me. She's a math teacher.
Wow.
So we're both teachers, and our children are our world. A friend recently told me,
like, dude, I had watched this already. It's a really good interview, and I just wanted to show some of the highlights, but it's like, and I was like, I'm not going to cry on stream. I got it out of my system already. I watched it. It was a really good video, and I'm going to control myself on the stream. And like, I wanted to share that part with you because it's like, dude, what like world do we live in where the words can be uttered from someone's mouth? Thank you for seeing our kids as human beings. And you expect me to give a fuck, to give a single shit about Biden getting cancer? Biden were working tirelessly for a ceasefire, only for Bibi to say, yeah, that guy was a total fucking pushover, didn't get us at all to get a ceasefire. Fuck yeah, he just gave us a bunch of weapons. And I'm supposed to give a fuck? I'm supposed to care about that fucking piece of shit bastard? Are you fucking kidding me? You think I would waste a shred of care to fucking genocidal Joe? Fuck off, dude. So yeah, I just, I don't have that in me. Maybe other people have it in them. I don't. Yeah, if you guys want to watch this again, it's a really good interview. highly recommend watching it if you'd like to. There's a lot of other really good parts in it. But yeah. And also someone else in chat said, like, I didn't even know that there was good content on YouTube for kids. Yeah, I thought that I just figured ever since like the Elsa gate on YouTube, it's just been slop on YouTube and nothing but slop. And it's good to know that there's like, there's human beings making content for children. Like content that isn't total brain rot for children. Because like my understanding is Coco Melon is like, it's like crack for kids. Like it's not good for the child brain. The stimulation is just too crazy. Yeah. I also like, I don't know, I have so much respect for parents that don't just hand their kids iPads everywhere. I have so much respect for it, dude. I was at this cafe with a friend, and there were these two moms with their kids. And not iPad kids, God bless them. I can't tell the age of children. I feel like child development also, like some kids just grow much faster. I would guess they were like 3, 4, I think. And maybe 5. I think it was, no, they weren't speaking. So like 3 or 4, I think. And they were like running up to me and my friend. They like wanted to like stim. I don't know what other word to describe this as. So ADHD brain, dude. But they like want to play with the stuff that's on the table, and they want to like run around, and they want to like, you know, interact with the universe, because that's what you do when you're like, you don't know what the fuck is happening. You just like spawn into this like flesh mecca, and you're like, oh, I don't know these controls. I don't know this universe. What the fuck? You know? And you're just trying to understand the universe around you and stuff. And I always let those kids do whatever they want. Like the mom was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know he's bothering you. I'm so sorry. Like, I was like, I don't care. I was like, here, let me finish my drink. I like chug my matcha latte. I like spilled the rest out. I was like, here. So, you know, she can play, because she was having fun taking like this, like, it was like a flower and like sticking it into like random bowls. And like, she was trying to put it into my cup while I was actively drinking it. I was like, I got you, dog. I got you. Glug, glug, glug. Here you go. Have fun. Yeah, you did it. Yeah. Fuck yeah. You got it, dude. You fucking got the flower in the fucking cup. I didn't curse. I control myself. Because I have so much respect for parents that don't just fucking hand their kids iPads. Like this, they leave the house, kid has an iPad. They're in a cafe, kid has an iPad. They're at a restaurant, kid has an iPad. They're at home, kid has an iPad. I don't have the energy to raise my own kid. That sounds like a lot of fucking work. I'm going to be honest. But like, I know parenting is mad work. I've seen that shit secondhand. So I see like kids like interacting with the world, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. I don't care. First of all, my drink spills. Who cares? I can just go get another one. It's way more cool for the kid to like interact with the world in a positive way, and like not be punished consistently for trying to like step outside of the comfort zone and stuff. Right. So yeah, I'm a softie on when it comes to that shit, where it's like, I respect it. Kids got to eat some dirt. And the thing is, they're going to eat plenty of dirt. They're going to eat plenty of dirt when they're in school. They're going to eat plenty of dirt from other kids. They're going to eat plenty of dirt from other shitty adults, from like teachers. I don't need to add to that. You know, they already have enough stuff that's going to like they have enough stuff that will weigh them down as they grow older and realize the society they were born into. They're fucked, okay? They're already fucked by the civilization they got born into, that they got spawned into. I don't need to add to that, okay? I don't need to add to that. They need to learn how to participate in life. You can't when there's a screen in front of you constantly. Yeah, that's my biggest principle, chat. That's my biggest principle. And I think everyone else in here should adopt it. If there's like a kid that's trying to like interact with you, obviously with the parents' consent and everything like that. Because I always like, I'm like, is it okay if I Do you not want me to talk to them? I don't know if I don't know what stage of parenting you're at, so I don't want to engage with them if you're trying to teach them not to bother people. So whatever you want. I don't know. It's fine? Okay, cool. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Got it, kiddo. You did it. Woo. And then they're so excited and they're like, yeah, and they like run. And also, what's the alternative? They just sit them in the corner with nothing to do, and then the kid starts screaming and crying. It's like, ugh. But yeah, so I don't know. I hate when parents snap at their young kids for bothering me. Like, they're fine. I'll let you know if it's an issue. Funnily enough, it's the kids being little shits when parents act like nothing is happening. Yeah. You're so right, by the way. Yeah. 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 I know the moms in this cafe were so sweet. They were like, I'm so sorry. Like, she's just really excited. I was like, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. And then like the kid tried to put like their mouth on my cup. I was like, whoa. There's nothing in it, so I don't give a fuck. But like, maybe you should don't put your mouth on things that. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry to take that cup away from your kid. They just were about to put. All right. I don't know that that's a good transmission of bacterias and stuff. That doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm not going to contribute to that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a very cool endeavor and venture, one that I don't have the energy for. If I had to like, oh, also I love cursing. I really love cursing. You're not supposed to do that. It's really hard. Mehdi had Joy Reid to shit on MSNBC. It looks like, wait, that's so dope. Also, hi, Raiders. Welcome. Study time. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome. Did you see Lolo's new Substack, Who Deserves to Die? It's a great analysis on the dehumanization of Palestinians. No, I haven't, but I imagine it's actually really good. Because the question that's being asked of pro-Israel stands, for lack of better words. The question that's being asked is how many more kids need to die? Like, genuinely, what do you think? You're just an auntie at heart. I am an auntie at heart. Chromia River. I taught my kids how to count, and now they all say 9, 10, 11, fuck 12. Stop. Fuck up. Ethan Klein's going to see that. Denims endorses teaching curse words to children. Denims thinks it's okay to do that. Unbelievable.